This is the Ru2 budget handbrake you'll find on AliExpress for around £50. Entirely built from metal parts plus a 200kg load cell sensor. At this low price, it looked like something worth checking out, and that's what we're going to do today. What you see is what you get. There are no hidden features or adjustments, just a slimline skeletonized construction. The aluminium handle is just large enough to fill my grip. And finally, the 200kg load cell that sits next to the elastomer spring. This is the controller board. The handbrake plugs into this, then on the other side a USB socket that runs the cable to your PC. There are no drivers required, but you may need to calibrate the handbrake in FreeJoy before use. Mine arrived without needing any calibration, but that may not be the case for everyone. Before we continue, I do need to show you a minor modification. This was recommended by a channel subscriber, so thanks go out to Andreas for this tip, and I do recommend you do this as it does improve the tension of the handbrake, and the results revealed later in the review are based on running the handbrake in this configuration. Planting an M5 bolt through the gap provides a support for the bottom of the load cell, and this makes a significant improvement to the tension as you pull on the lever. This mod is covered in a separate video. I've posted a link below that goes into full detail into this, so watch that video to find out more. Essentially, at the core, we have a generic analog input device, and Windows and racing games will recognise it as such. So plug and play and simply map it to the handbrake input in the game, and it works. Since it uses a load cell sensor, the force applied, the weight you pull into the lever, equals the measure of the analog input. Think of it like a load cell brake pedal. Same thing, but instead of pushing into the brake pedal, you're pulling on the lever. However, a lot of racing games out there don't actually register the handbrake brake pressure relative to the input like a brake pedal, and instead, when you pull on a handbrake, it's just like an on-off switch, locking the wheels in an instant. So unfortunately, not every game out there will take full advantage of this, but sim racing games in general will, but more arcadey racing titles won't. That's the kind of rule you can apply here. So yeah, a light tweak on the handbrake means a light application of handbrake braking, and give it a good strong pull for harder braking. That should apply for sim racing games, but not arcade racing games. For the resistance, we have a firm elastomer, providing a progressive tension. As it compresses, it becomes firmer, giving us a sensation of feedback, and interestingly feels very much like a real handbrake. Structurally, it has a sturdy feel. There is some side-to-side play, though it doesn't flop around or anything I notice when pulling the lever under tension, and it does look worse when I waggle it side to side in this demonstration on my table, but in use it really isn't a problem. This budget handbrake has a pull weight and resistance that reminds me of my Hussenfeld handbrake I had a few years back, and that's a premium handbrake with a price to match. I like the slimline profile, it was easy to mount to the rig and works very well around my setup, so lots of positives there. And just a couple of negatives, the side to side play that we just covered, and the mod to support the bottom of the load cell, which I definitely feel needs to be done. Andreas, who shared the details of the mod, also sent this picture later on. His handbrake did fail, but also note he also swapped out the spring. I don't know if that made a difference. The fracture occurred across the plates where the two bolts hold the load cell in place. So could that be the result of the bolt mod? Well, since I'm running the mod, hopefully that's just an unlucky failure and mine's going to hold up for me, as I'm committed to continue using that mod since it's such an improvement. It's not a thin piece of metal, so I'm confident it's going to hold up, but I'm showing you this just in case, as there is a potential risk, as we are affecting the distribution of force. But that did make me ponder a little bit on this, so I made a further minor mod and added washers between the bolt heads and the plates to help spread the load. Hopefully that should be fine. The bolts are held in using a thread locker, so they are really tight. So just be aware of that if you intend to do the same and add washers. I used a piece of profile to grab the Allen key for leverage, as there's no way I was going to get them to budge using my bare hands. Modding to upgrade and improve hardware may not be your cup of tea, but when it comes to budget products, personally I'm okay with that. Cheaper hardware isn't always perfectly refined, and making small mods can give you good gains, and that's what I discovered here. I do like the Rutu handbrake. I paid £50 for mine, and with a minor mod, it's a great feeling handbrake, and for that price, it's a fantastic pickup. Unfortunately, right now as I'm recording this review, the price is now listed at £90. That's an 80% increase, and at that price point, I am very much less inclined to recommend it. When we scrutinise sim racing products, price to performance is a major factor. At £90, that's a lot of money, and it opens up the opportunity to consider other products rather than this one. I do think they made a mistake by raising the price this much. A small bump in price I think would be okay, but 80% is way too much in my opinion. It doesn't eliminate the fact that it functions well, does a fine job, and I quite like using it. So for what it's worth, it is a decent product, but that price does need to reflect the value. At £90, I don't believe it does. So maybe one to keep an eye on. That price may come down in the future, and then that'll be the time to snag this one. If you have this handbrake, do feel free to continue the conversation in the comments and share your thoughts on this product, or indeed make your own recommendations. And that's it for me today. Thanks very much for watching. Feel free to like and subscribe, and until next time, happy simming and bye bye.